Hello and welcome to the Securus Firestarter for November 24th, Thanksgiving week. And this is just right after the polar vortex, which we are going to get into in a moment. I don't know, is that the real name or is that just one of those media things they came up with? Nobody? Mike, Adrian? I don't know. We all live in warm places.
Lake effect snow is all I know about weather nowadays. So
Yeah, that's what, 10 feet plus over there?
yeah,
Anyway,
no fun.
clearly joining me is Mike Rothman. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
And Adrian Lane.
Hi, good morning.
All right, both of them chatty as usual. So,
What? I'm fatigued. I've been running wind sprints all morning trying to catch a little tiny Boston terrorist running to my house. No, don't touch that. No, don't bite that. No, don't go there.
Mike and I are running races, and Adrian's chasing a puppy.
Yeah, it's different training regimes.
It
I'm getting
is.
my diet and exercise down. I'm gonna have to get a Fitbit for dog keeping, and
You should put a Fitbit on the puppy and just see what happens.
that would be interesting. Whoa, 67,000 steps this afternoon.
Yeah, it was a good weekend. I decided to start gearing my training up a little bit, so I did 11 miles yesterday, but the weather was like finally in the 70s. It was nice. Admittedly, my knee, my hip, and my ankle and my foot didn't fully agree with the rest of my body, but
Yeah, my calves. I did 11 too on Saturday, and
nice.
my calves were not happy with me
Film or it didn't
yesterday.
happen. The thought of Mike Rothman running 11 miles. No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
no.
Just wait until
Didn't happen.
Thursday, man. Thursday, I'm doing the half. I'm doing it. I'm really
It,
gonna do it.
this hasn't been public. Mike Rothman is running a half marathon this week, so he just let it out. So
If I don't make it back, you'll know what happened. I'm gonna pig out for Thanksgiving, man. That's for sure. Pumpkin pie for everyone. Woo!
yeah. Yeah, I just had a client from Europe go, "Hey, can you meet Thursday morning?" I'm like, "Well, I'll be doing a 10K turkey trot with two kids and a jog stroller," and so no, that's
So
not
the,
gonna.
All right. So what are we talking about today?
So bringing up the cold weather, a little numbness going on. So we were sitting here. Sometimes we have fire starters. We know we want to do them ahead of time. We plan out and we do our, intensive research. Okay, we've never done that, but you know what I mean. But we plan out a little bit. And today we kind of had a topic we were going to cover, which we may still get to, which is about what was going on with Amazon at reInvent, because we were all out there at that conference talking about cloud security and scale and kind of some of the changes there. But the big thing is we're like, what's in the news? I don't know. Another major SSL vulnerability. More people got hacked. It's just kind of a numbness, and it's fascinating to me that we hit a point. I read today, semantics researchers found some massive new APT could have been our government. It was used a lot in Russia and Saudi Arabia and infrastructure providers. We've got, the SSL Mageddon, version 12 or whatever it is, because, there was very serious Windows vulnerability going on. Drupal websites, massive vulnerability over there. WordPress, huge cross-site scripting vulnerability. If you don't patch your WordPress sites, you're just toast. It's just kind of like, I
Hold
don't know.
on.
Are we shell shocked here? No
Hold
pun
on.
intended.
Hold on. Hold on.
I meant it, the original way it meant. What do you guys think? Is it, have we hit some threshold, or is it just a news thing? What's going on?
Well, I think if you want to kind of look at it more from a broader media perspective, for years, the media has really thrived on negativity and thrived on, trying to make little issues bigger than they are, right? Cyber has just cyber has just fallen right in line with the rest of kind of just the nonsense that we see out of the mass market media here in the States, right? Oh God, the world is falling. Oh God, this, and I forget what specific news thing it was about, but I saw this great contrast on how the UK news was presenting something versus how the US news was presenting something, and it was night and day. Oh, it was about Ebola, right? It was about Ebola, and you just saw the sensationalism. You just saw the kind of Chicken Little-esque view of how the US mass media really treats things, and I don't think our world is any different now. So what happens when you're constantly berated by these things that really aren't that big of a deal, but you're constantly hearing, and they're constantly trying to make them into a bigger deal? What you end up with are a bunch of folks that don't know what's important anymore, right? So we don't know what's really something that we have to focus on, because everything is important. So it's kind of like our to-do lists, right? You know, you look at your to-do list every morning and go, oh shit, everything is important, right? You know, no, not everything is important. And you know, I think we at the end of 2014 as a security industry have fallen into that trap. And again, I don't think it's our doing in terms of practitioners and the like, but I think, you know, the media has taken on a lot of our issues as their own, as a way to continue to drive page views and negativity, and get everybody scared because, again, at least in the US, that's what sells.
Well, I mean, let's take the Ebola thing for, an example, because I think it actually is an interesting parallel. Because sometimes they really are serious issues, and then they can't be dealt with appropriately because of all the, kind of the hype, the fluff, and the competing interests. So Chris Christie in Jersey apparently said anybody coming over is going to be quarantined, and they picked some hospital, some shutdown hospital, and then he put like police guards all around this thing. And yet, in the plan, nobody was ever going to go to that hospital. They were going to go to actual, real working hospitals, and he had no legal authority to be able to enforce that quarantine. And, and it turns out, I mean, everybody knew that those people weren't at risk anyway. And so it just became this whole ridiculous, theater. And go back to, Bruce and the security theater. There was Ebola theater. And it never ends. And what fascinates me in our industry is we've always known we have an issue, which is, look, in each end, it's just like insurance. So yeah, hey, be ashamed if you developed coronary artery disease. Just say it. But wouldn't you like to know that your family is being taken care of? And that's a lot of what has happened with security, with marketing. I'm not even going to say it's lazy, because fun's fun. It's really hard to sell things that people don't always appreciate until it's too late. And so, I think we've been bad at it. I think we could be better at it, but we have that whole vendor thing, hyping everything up. A lot of these, advanced malware things that are discovered, they're discovered by, the antivirus vendors that didn't protect their customers in the first place. They're, big attacks and things coming out. Vulnerabilities, they're disclosed by people who, in many cases, want some degree of personal attention tied to them, or they define timelines, or and sometimes for good reasons, but sometimes for bad reasons. So we get in this weird cycle where we have, the whole vendor marketing side of thing that I think influences the overhype and creating this numbness. We have the researcher component of it, which is a huge piece of it, and then we even have the defenders who, for a very long time, unless you were an enlightened defender, let's say, we all still work with clients like this who just don't don't prioritize correctly, or aren't given the resources they need to prioritize correctly. So I think it's just a huge washing machine spin cycle. I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. However, I think it's getting tough, because we are seeing a mixture of very serious things and serious things that are serious, but we have more time to deal with, as well as the minutia of day-to-day that attracts attention but probably doesn't matter to us on the same scale, all conflagrated at the same time, and I think it's just that just creates this numbness.
Yeah, you can't differentiate one threat from the other because of the news and the hype cycles, like Mike said. They're all trying to make a big deal out of it, because cyber's still sexy, right?
Drink.
Hey, you know who loves this? You know who loves the numbness? Oracle. When was the last time anybody talked about the Oracle critical patch update, or Microsoft Patch Tuesday? And it's just fallen off the radar completely. And so I figure sooner or later that's going to happen with this, but right now it's just this poop storm of vulnerability of the day that keeps falling down on us, and somebody's got to get out in front of the press and talk about it. And as you guys well know, we see that twice as much as any end consumer too, because we get all of the analyst relations people coming to us with, would you like to talk to so and so because his product could have stopped this, and he can describe to you what exactly malware is and how to defeat it. So it's ongoing and ever present in my inbox every single day, and it's just driven me to numbness.
So if I'm a practitioner, right, I got to get back to something that we've been saying for years, and that's the future is unevenly distributed. Right, so there's going to be a percentage of people, and by the way, it's a very large percentage of people that can't differentiate what's really a threat versus what isn't. right? And those folks are going to continue to be the low-hanging fruit for the attackers. Those folks are going to continue to be the ones who's getting breached left and right. You're always going to have the very front end of the cycle, right? And those are who are targeted by nation states effectively and really can't defend themselves, regardless of how much they spend, regardless of what it is they do because they're fighting a battle that can't be won, right? And then what as a practitioner you want to do is be be thankful that you're not at that front end, those 3 or 4% of companies that are really targets, but don't be in that majority of folks that have no idea what the hell they're doing, right? So you have to be educated, right? You have to understand your environment. You have to have, wait for it, context, right? Context to understand what that means, what this specific issue means to your environment. And that means being educated, right? That means reading. That means interacting with folks. It means going to cons. Not every con, right? There are 10,000 cons, and we did a Firestarter about that earlier this year. But understanding and having the context of how these things really fit into your control set, really fit into how it is that you protect your critical assets and understand how to prioritize that stuff. And again, we don't do research for the great unwashed. We would love the fact that they would read our stuff, and we would love the fact that they would learn something from a lot of the stuff that we're doing. But at the end of the day, we're not so either arrogant, or maybe a little bit, but we're not so delusional to think that we're going to really impact everybody, right? So again, I think that the folks that do spend a bunch of time kind of listening to the things that we do, again, some right, some wrong, but really, if there's anything that we can relay, kind of as we wrap up 2014 and think about 2015, is the importance of that context, the importance of not getting into perpetual firefighting mode and being able to think a little bit about what's going to be important to your environment, because there's too much noise, and if you can't shut it out and you can't understand what's really signal, you're just like everybody else, just waiting to be breached.
Yeah, I mean, really, I hate to say it, but it all comes down to just really understanding how to assess your risk. And I don't mean some crazy quantitative model. I mean that, everybody knows my opinions on that. I mean, when these things come out in the press, look at them, take a step back, look at your environment and your risk profile, and make intelligent decisions about what you can do. For example, we were at a zoo function, a charity, not a charity, a donor, whatever thingy last night, having dinner, met a nice couple at the table. She was CFO of a business that I can't even mention what they do because I think they're the only ones in the Phoenix area that do what they do. So you can figure it out. But it's kind of related to law enforcement, but non-law enforcement. And, came up what I did, and she mentioned that they had just bought cyber insurance, and we got in the discussion about what does that mean. I'm like, look, here's what it would cover. Likely, as long as you're not negligent, your, basic incident response costs. It's not going to cover reputation. It's not going to cover this or that. And, she understood that stuff reasonably well. But it was like a huge thing at all of her conferences. Everybody was, for their industry, was talking about getting cyber insurance and this and that. And then she even brought up, oh, you can hire hackers. I'm like, yeah, that's a penetration test. Here's what you look for. Here's how you do it. And all she wanted to know was how to reduce her risk and know what her fiduciary responsibility was going to be and her organization's responsibility. And all of this stuff and the fact that some of these things actually percolate to the general news don't help the situation. And in her case, we just sat there at dinner for 10 minutes. I'm like, all right, well, what do you do? Okay, well, what about these kinds of attackers, these kind of walk through and go, well, you know what, you're middle risk at worst. And all their stuff's in a hosted data center anyway. I'm like, so they're just going to come after you, by popping you with email and getting access to your systems that way. So, that's the kind of damage they can done. And if you hire a pen tester, which I do think is a good idea, make sure it's not someone that's just going to get in. They'll always get in. You want them to kind of, do a broad assessment and tell you where to focus your efforts. And that's, kind of that advice. Just, understand your posture. When these things come out, I have to look at it for us. I mean, we do have infrastructure in different places. And, for example, I was like, all right, I was worried about shell shock right away because I knew that we had things with Bash running on them that could be vulnerable. And so the first thing I did is I closed off the IP ports for anything that could have gotten access to, even though those products weren't shown to be vulnerable yet. And then they were shown to be vulnerable. And then I fixed it, and that was the end of the story. It wasn't, a huge, panic rigmarole or anything, and it didn't affect our ability to get our jobs done.
Where's the fun in that?
All right, so now that we've numbed our audience
Yeah, no kidding.
going off. So look, guys, this does not going to stop. You're going to hear there's going to be massive things almost every day. We're going to be numb, and the danger is actually not too much. No, the danger becomes you stop paying attention to the ones that are going to affect you.
I'm actually, Rich, I'm not worried about our folks not paying attention.
Yeah, that's
I'm
a good point.
worried about senior management just, again, being numb to the point that nothing we as practitioners can say to those folks are going to get their attention anymore. Right. So again, remember and think about it this way, right? You know, you've got what, a gun, you've got maybe 5 or 6 bullets a year that you can fire, maybe, right? That's being generous. Fire them wisely, right? Understand very clearly which ones you want to make a big deal out of with the ops folks, because you know, when you say we've got to do this and we've got to do it now, and then they do, if you come back a week later, we got to do this and we got to do it now, you know, then your credibility kind of goes out the window. So again, we only have a limited set of bullets. Use them wisely.
Yeah, and you can be the hero if you set yourself up appropriately ahead of time. And so when they come to you in a panic, you can say you've got all the data you need to make that decision about what your organization looks like and what contingencies to put in place and how to minimize the impact to the business. If you keep that focus, yeah, I think life's going to be good, and you can just sit back and enjoy it like we do when all of these things pop up. And except for those few times a year we don't get to enjoy it. And to be honest, Mike and Adrian do that mostly just screws up my life.
I drink
All
more
right.
coffee.
I'm to blame.
Yeah. All right, so to finish off, we're going to be doing coming up. Our posting schedule is going to be a little off for the rest of the year because of holidays and everything else, and so we still have a couple of big paper series. We're going to try and be good with the insights, fire starters to the best of our ability, and the summaries. One of the big things though is we are looking at doing a fire starter closer to year end on predictions. So we need you guys to help us out. Send it over Twitter, send us email, whatever it is. As you see, the usual really horrible predictions that are out there that everybody's coming up with. Even if you think they're good, send them to us because we need something to make fun of before the end of the year. So we're asking you to give us a hand. All right, that's it. Yeah, nice, Mike. You guys have any closing comments, or are we done with this one?
At this time of year, I think we all should be thankful that we're in security, right? Again, I've been doing this too long to think that, forever we're going to be, kind of moving up and to the right, even better than linearly. But for right now, it is a really good time to be in security. So be thankful around, Thursday and the rest of the year as we head into the holidays, that you kind of, whether you stumbled into it, whether you plan to be here, what have you, it really is a good place to be. And again, even with all the numbness, even with all the stuff that we're going to point out that, kind of doesn't make sense, and we lampoon a bunch of things, the alternative is you could work in a different business that doesn't have as much activity going on. So be thankful for that.
Yep. And 5K Retina IMAX. Not that I have one or can get one this year, but
CFO is a mean person.
all right, we're done. Thanks everyone, and have a great week, and we'll see you soon.